You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is June the 3rd, 2019. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Can you believe it's June already?
I can, Nick.
Just realized it when you said the date.
Yeah.
It flew by.
Yeah, it 100% did. It has been crazy. Lots going on just in life. Not so much going on in hockey when you've got 2-day breaks in between games.
Yeah. I mean, to think the third round just ended like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And here we are. It's even worse. I thought hockey was bad. They gave 2 days off between games and they didn't even travel in the NBA finals.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot going on there. But hey, the Raptors won. We can celebrate that. Nick's got a brand new shirt he's wearing today for the show.
Believe in the Iser plan.
No, because there's the Shanna plan.
Yeah.
Is that really what we're calling it, is the Iser plan?
I mean, we're not even sure he has a plan at this point.
Oh, you did hire him. If he does not have a plan, you strongly need to reconsider a lot of things.
Certainly have not made it public.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'm sure he has a plan. He is Steve Yzerman, after all.
Yeah, well,
and
let's
this
hope
team
so.
is in desperate need of a plan.
Something, right? At least something. So today we're going to talk about the series. Since we were last with you, it has started. The Boston Bruins, unfortunately, are up 2-1. We'll talk about some of this series. We will talk about something I didn't mention to Nick. We'll talk about the Oilers. They hired a coach this week. Speaking of plans with Detroit Red Wings general managers, we might touch on that a little bit.
I forgot that happened this week. I thought we covered that last week.
Well, we did, right? And so I'll see if there's anything else we want to add to that. We've got kind of a weird story happening in one of the leagues here in North America, and we're going to do some diving into some draft stuff. Before we get to any of that, just remind everyone about Park Power, the official power supplier of the Alberta Podcast Network, where if you go and you head to parkpower.ca, you can find out all the great things. You can find out how to switch, but you can find out what I love about them the most is the fact that they support your community. So whether you be in Calgary or Edmonton, they are there supporting the community. So that is a great thing. Head to parkpower.ca to find out more about that. It's 2-1 Boston right now after a huge win in Game 3.
Yeah, like so big that I feel like the viewership numbers towards the end of that game were very small.
Yeah, when you put up a touchdown, not many people are going to keep watching.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when it happens so early in the game too. Like I think they were up 4-0 2 minutes into the second period.
Yeah. And so let's start with Game 1. I know that I bring up Game 3. Game 4 is tonight. By the time this comes out, Game 4 will have started. Let's go back in the old way back machine to last Monday night. St. Louis, Boston. Boston comes out and plays, they won 4-2. St. Louis was up 2-0, and then Boston just shut it down from there on. The fourth goal was an empty netter, but it was the most blowout of 3-2 games I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's tough to give up. It's tough to give up a 2-goal lead like that in the Stanley Cup Finals, and especially giving up a power play goal, which is something I think we talked about last week in the series preview. That Boston's power play is just on fire. You got to manage those penalties. And I think that might actually be a theme as we go through every game.
I was going to say, we'll be touching on that power play a lot.
Yeah, it's a tough start to the series for St. Louis. But Boston had their crowd behind them too on the home ice advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all I have to say about game one. Not gonna lie, I don't remember much of what happened.
That was a while to do a game by game breakdown from this, but like, Boston gave up the 2 goals early, right? St. Louis got those,
Yeah.
and really just Boston kind of woke up from that point. And so, for me, they got outshot 37-20, with the power play being a big part in that as well. And so, yeah, certainly that's going to be a big part. Going into game 2, I think I fully expected after that showing, it felt a little bit like the Columbus-Tampa series, where like Tampa went up early, and then Columbus was like, oh, okay, we're going to win this. And then that was how game 1 felt to me. And so I kind of was just like, all right, cool. Boston's going to sweep now. And I was just a little sad.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case.
That wasn't the case.
No.
And stealing a game on the road in a series like this is huge.
Absolutely.
Huge. Because if they had lost game 2, yeah, I would have been very scared for them going back home.
Yeah. Boston got another power play goal.
Yep.
I believe they're now at 7 games in a row with the power play goal.
That's pretty good. You're probably right.
So that would be the entire Carolina series, all 4 games there, and then all 3 games in this series so far.
Yep.
So like the last time they didn't score, they were playing the Blue Jackets on the power play.
Oh, it's a long time ago, Carl.
Right? Do you even? I had to think for a second. Who did they play before Carolina? Well, actually, I had to think. Who did they play before St. Louis?
Yeah, because Carolina was like a flash in the pan, a bleep at this point. Like,
yeah, it literally took them 6 days to beat them.
Yeah,
not much. But I was impressed with St. Louis in game 2. They managed to get the shots that they couldn't in game 1. It was a very flipped script.
Yeah.
Not in I guess in order of scoring. Boston opened it, but St. Louis really held their own. Game went to overtime, and to trust Carl Gunnarsson.
Especially when he walks up to you in the washroom and says, I just need a chance.
So what was that story?
I don't know what the whole story was. I know that after the third period ended, somehow Gunnarsson and Craig Berube met in the washroom, and apparently Gunnarsson said to him, like, you just got to give me a chance, coach. Just give me a chance. And he went out and scored the overtime winner.
I like that. There's, it harkens back to when Roberto Luongo missed the start of overtime because he was in the washroom.
Yeah.
Great things happen in the washroom in the Stanley Cup Finals.
I mean, like, I've never really thought about it, but, a hockey game, especially one that goes into overtime, 3-4 hours, that's like half a work day for me. And
yeah,
I pee like 3 times a morning, maybe.
Wow, really?
I drink a lot of water, Carl.
Okay. I was thinking coffee, but that's good. I actually, since we're down this rabbit hole, like I was thinking, like, if you're exercising and you're doing that, you're sweating a lot, right? But also, if you're doing it right, you're not sweating it all out.
Correct.
And so there was a NASCAR race recently, Memorial Day weekend, and it went for about 6 hours. And so you got to think, you're hydrating for 6 hours. What happens? And so drivers have various strategies that they use to get by. I don't know which one you would pick.
Okay.
Some legitimately diaper up.
I was going to say, they probably just go.
Some just go. And one guy, the guy who won the race, just held it for 7 hours.
That is some serious, like, mental fortitude.
And won the race. Like, he's focused so much on winning a race, also not wetting himself.
No, it's the other way around. He just had to go so bad.
I gotta go. Go.
Step on it.
Yeah. Man won the race, got to the car, and before he did anything else, he just went straight to the bathroom, as one should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's nothing worse than wetting yourself during an interview on live television.
No,
no one wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Not a thing. Anyways,
imagine being part of that. Imagine being part of that cleanup crew.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, these guys don't clean their own suits or their own cars,
No.
but someone has to.
Somebody does. Unless they just burn it with the tires.
Someone's getting paid not enough for that. Anyways, Carl Gunnarsson.
In the washroom.
In the washroom with the guarantee.
Overtime.
Yeah.
The way I imagine it going down is there's just a wall of urinals, and Greg Berube at the furthest one all the way at the end, and Gunnarsson walks in. He passes all the open. He goes right beside Berube.
Yeah.
Like, Coach, I just need a chance. Eye contact all the way.
Yeah. Hand on the shoulder.
Hand on the shoulder.
Put me in, Coach. I'm ready.
Yeah. And then you get the news the next game, Carl Gunnarsson, healthy scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out he's been sent down. Who knows why?
Yeah. But yeah, apparently all he needed was a chance, and he capitalized on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knew? Which is really, that should have been, maybe they didn't go to the washroom enough in game 3. Maybe that's what happened to the Blues.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that did happen is they were a man short. Oscar Sundqvist was suspended for his hit on Matt Grzelcyk. Only one game, which I know they use their like playoffs equal more games. And I think it's currently sitting at 3-1. So that's like playoff game is 3 regular season games.
Is it 3-1 or 2-1?
I think when they came out with the Tom Wilson thing,
yeah,
I recall it being 3-1.
I mean,
but even still, at 2-1, I don't think one game was enough.
I don't know. Is 2 regular season games enough? Is 3 regular season games enough?
Maybe. That was a pretty bad hit.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, these guys gotta, especially the hitters, they gotta be able to react. I don't know, man. I don't want to put myself in their situation. It's moving so fast.
Well, and he Grzelcyk was not in. I'm not gonna blame the victim here, but he was not in like a good situation.
No,
he had him like crooked against the boards.
He almost looked like he lost his edge.
Oh, for sure.
When he had turned away from the puck, and Sundqvist was just. It's that thing they always teach you growing up, like finish your check, finish your check, finish your check. And he just, to me, I mean, I'm watching it in slow motion. It looks like he has time to pivot away, but it moves very fast and it makes it hard, but you still have to suspend it, whether he could or couldn't. You still have to suspend it because we got to get rid of this.
Yeah. The more that we talk about it, the more that I am okay with one game, because you look at it, and if you look at it at real speed, or like you imagine the slow motion being sped up, by the point that when he's committed to where he's going to hit him, he's hitting him in the numbers. And then Grzelcyk starts to slide back.
Yeah.
Right? It moving his head into that point. Again, Sundqvist is responsible for that, should be able to not hit a guy in the head, because I'm impressed this playoffs how few suspensions and dirty hits we've had.
How few?
How few? Does it not feel like few?
I feel like there's been more than normal, but I mean, I don't really remember last year's too often.
Maybe it's because like Brad Marchand hasn't been suspended yet and Tom Wilson's not in the playoffs anymore.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Joe Thornton got suspended in these playoffs.
Did he?
Yeah, he got suspended for a game in the first round, I think.
I'm misremembering. See, these playoffs, first round, I don't even know what happened.
I know. It feels like it was 3 months ago.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look at the numbers. It just feels like, I guess as of late, the later rounds feel cleaner.
Yeah. I mean, the later rounds normally are too, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's a little more careful. Everyone is a little more banged up already too. And I feel like the refs let them play a little more. They let some of the funny business go because the games are so important, but
yeah, you don't want to be calling that penalty, right? Like,
yeah. Did he get a penalty on the play, by the way?
I do believe so. Yeah, I know. I have the box score open. Let's see. You got a 2-minute boarding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't 5 in the game, but
I think 1 game is fine. It's enough for it, especially if you're going 2-1 or 3-1 for the regular season. Like in the regular season, I would have expected 3 games for that.
well, and if you look at it this is a terrible way to look at it, but if you do look at it with this series is evened up, there's 5 games left. He's missing 20% of possible matchups.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
So he missed game 3. And I think we can put the result of game 3 solely on him, from what I can tell. He was the biggest difference.
You think if only they had Oscar Sundqvist in the lineup?
If they had Oscar Sundqvist in there, that wouldn't have happened.
Probably would have been 6-2.
Yeah, we wouldn't have seen Boston with 4 power play goals. 4 shots on 4 power plays, 4 goals.
It's pretty bad.
And
Both
1
goalies,
goal.
right?
Pardon?
Both goalies were bad for
Both.
St. Louis.
Oh, yeah,
Goalie.
well, I get, yeah. Jake Allen, 4 shots, 1 goal. Not good.
No, it's not good.
But I don't fully, entirely blame Jordan Binnington for this. I mean, yes, he gave up 4 goals. He actually gave up 5. 1 was even strength. He gave up 4 goals on the power play. I have a very hard time blaming a goalie for power play goals.
Yeah. You can't, even if he was on the ice for all 7 goals, you can't blame a goalie for a loss and 7 goals. Especially on the power play.
You can, but not in this situation. I've seen some games where I'm like, yeah, that's on the goalie.
Okay, sure you can.
But not usually in the Stanley Cup Finals.
No. Not with the record that Binnington has.
No. I mean, at least 2. I'm trying to remember all the goals. The first one that wasn't a power play goal was a 3-on-2, and they just literally went like bing, bang, boom across the way, and he had to go from one side of the ice to the other on the Charlie Coyle goal.
Yep.
So there's that one. At least 2 of the power play goals were deflected. One off his own defender's shin, another one by a Bruin. Hard to blame a guy for that.
Yep.
And then the other 2 were just power play goals. The Pasternak goal was a fine enough goal. He maybe could have had it, but and the last one, the Krug goal, I think that one was the tipped one. The one I'm forgetting was I guess he only let up 3 power play goals. Jake Allen was lucky enough to let in the 4th one. So
very lucky. I'm glad you watched them all to recap us through that.
You're welcome. It's what we call show prep.
Yeah, I don't do that.
It was because I didn't actually watch the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
So
after the 4th goal, I was like, I'm done. Put the wire on. Like, I don't need to watch this anymore.
It's amazing that, and that's always frustrating. It's like when you stay up extra late for overtime. You're like, I swear, if I'm staying up for overtime, you better give me good overtime.
Yeah.
And then they score 10 seconds, and you're like, why did I make snacks for this?
Yeah.
Now I just have to go to bed. That's how I felt like you were scoring 41 seconds into the second period. You're like, why did I just watched Don Cherry for nothing.
I had to sit through Don Cherry for this.
Yeah. Come on.
Turned us off 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. Could have been watching the wire. Anyways.
Charlie Coyle's been a pretty good pickup for the Bruins, eh?
Yeah. He's had quite the playoffs. And honestly, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was a healthy scratch as a Bruin at some point.
Was he a deadline pickup?
He was, yeah. From the old Minnesota Wild.
That's right.
Just making all kinds of questionable moves there in Minnesota. I'm not saying this was questionable.
We
talked about it last week.
Yeah. It doesn't I wouldn't say it's questionable, but he's done really well for the Bruins. That was a very nice pickup for them.
Very much so. Yeah, he's done well. And been having a very good run as of late. Tonight, though, Game 4. Obviously, Craig Berube, a little hot under the collar about the penalties. Sure, I feel similar to this about like with the Vegas San Jose, where it's like, sure, maybe it shouldn't have been that call, but also maybe do something on the penalty kill. That's it. Just anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can only blame the refs so much, right? You can't really blame the refs for 4 power play goals in a single game. You got to be able to shut that down. You're in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Absolutely, yeah. The Blues are taking more penalties than they were in the previous rounds. But, again, I don't think that I blame this on the officiating entirely. Like, sure, there's maybe a few that have one way or the other, but they managed to win a game, so it can't be that bad that you're losing games because of it. And you did not lose game 3 because of the refs.
Yeah, no. I mean, the Bruins do that to you, right? They draw penalties and then count. Like, did they not do any research on the past 3 rounds?
Apparently
that's
not.
What the Bruins have been doing. Drawing penalties and scoring on the power play.
Yeah. In 7 games in a row. You got to figure that out.
Yeah. They got to figure out a way to shut down. First of all, take less penalties. You don't have to shut down the power play if you don't give them any time to play.
Whoa. Hot. Is that the Iser plan? Did you let us in?
I've said too much. This will be my last time on the show.
All right. Well, let's remember Nick's fondest memories.
Enter montage of my top 5 moments.
Yeah. So, like, I expect in the same way that after playing an atrocious game 1, they came out and had a good game 2. I expect a similar result tonight. And then hopefully they figure out how to stop. I was going to say yee-yawing, but that's not what yo-yoing. That's the word I'm looking for. Yo-yoing their results. Like it's just all over them.
Whole sentence again.
No, I can't.
I dropped off halfway through.
The St. Louis Blues have to stop this roller coaster that they're on, where they play good and then bad and then good and then bad. And it feels like well, it doesn't feel like they can. They can. This team is good enough to win this series. It's just that in 1 2/3 of the games, they haven't played like that.
Yeah. I mean, and certainly you got to bounce back in a big way tonight. You have to. After that big of a loss. I mean, I don't think Jordan Binnington's had 2 bad games in a row since he came into the league.
That sounds like a fact. We can check it, but I don't think we need to.
So he's going to come prepared, ready to have a big game, but like there's only so much he can do from the net, right? The goal scorer's got to come out too, and they can't spend the whole game in their own end.
Can't do it.
Part of the Iser plan.
So play in the other end and win. Jordan Binnington has not had 2 games in a row with sub 900 save percentages that he started. There you go.
So
that's not true. That's a lie. March 2nd and March 6th, he gave up 3 goals on 20 shots and 4 goals on 27 shots against Dallas and Anaheim. So once.
It's a big gap in games. So I guess what we're saying is 2 days between games is too much.
Yeah, he cannot be the 3 games. He needs to get right back out there right away.
Right away.
A slump buster.
In any case, I think he'll come back in a big way. But they need their big guns to show up too.
It's true. You've got to have your Tarasenko's, and they've got lots of them, right? The firepower for the Blues is arguably as much or more. I would say more than the firepower for the Bruins.
I don't know if I'd agree with that, really. I don't know.
The Bruins are a very good team in a lot of ways, but I think offensive prowess, the Blues play a game that kind of hinders a lot of that. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, for sure they do.
Yeah,
they defend really well and they forecheck really well.
Yeah, but
again, can't forecheck if you're killing penalties.
You can. I mean, you can, You're going to give up 4 power play goals on 4 shots if you do, though. Maybe that's Craig Berube just yelling forecheck, and they're doing it.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
sorry, before we move on, tonight's game 4. I don't know if the series will be over or not next time we play. So who is your Conn Smythe contender on each team right now?
Tuukka Rask and Tuukka Rask.
You think even if the Blues win, Tuukka's had the playoffs? He's been that good?
There's no one on the Blues that I'm like, that's the guy. That's the one who's getting it. So it would probably have to be like whoever there's heroic. Binnington hasn't been good enough to earn it.
No, I don't think Binnington has been good enough either.
Jaden Schwartz has a bunch of goals. So if we're picking someone on the Blues, it's going to be him. But even still, I'm like, he hasn't done a whole ton this round to convince me that he should be getting it.
Yeah. I mean, Jaden Schwartz has been my pick all playoffs, but he's been pretty quiet the last few games. Ryan O'Reilly's been good all playoffs.
Because it is a trophy for the entire playoffs, even though no one remembers that.
Yeah. When was the last time it was given to the losing team? Was it Anaheim?
I believe it was Anaheim, yeah. And it's only ever going to be a goalie, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so too.
But it will be if the Blues do manage to win 3 out of the next 4 games, 3 of the next 4 games. I assume that there will be one person of, likely Schwartz or Ryan O'Reilly or both, who really take that next step and win that trophy.
But it's a total playoff MVP. It's not just a Stanley Cup Final MVP.
Well, tell that to the professional hockey writers.
I can't. They won't listen to me.
Well,
they block me.
Let's get some of them on the show here. Let's do it. So yeah, very shortly, one of these teams will be handed the Stanley Cup. Now, this reminds me of a very interesting story that I stumbled upon this week.
Okay.
You're aware of the ECHL? Like as a league?
East Coast Hockey League?
The East Coast Hockey League, I assume what it stands for as well.
Okay.
They're also in their finals right now.
Okay.
Between the Toledo Walleyes and the Newfoundland Growlers.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sure you've heard of the Growlers. They're a new team. I believe they're the Leafs ECHL affiliate, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And they're up 3-1 in this series.
The Growlers are.
The Growlers are, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a great logo. They've got the big Newfie dog. As someone who lived in St. John's when they had the Leafs there, before the Leafs became the Marlies, that stadium puts on a show.
Did you live in St. John's? I didn't know that.
I did, yeah.
Oh, I love St. John's.
St. John's is a great place, yeah.
So that graphic design agency that designed that logo, I did a lot of work for them when I worked on a brand that was really big in the East Coast.
The East Coast Hockey League.
For the Newfoundland Growlers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I was very happy to see that they got some pretty good props for that, because it really is an amazing logo.
It's a fantastic logo. Yeah. I mean, those dogs are fantastic. I'm a big fan of the dog, and they make it look really cool. Anyways, all that beside the point.
Right.
They're playing, and the trophy they get is called the Kelly Cup.
Okay.
Named after the original commissioner, or maybe not the original, one of the former commissioners, Patrick Kelly.
Okay.
And here's the thing. They're going to hand that trophy out soon. But that's not the real trophy.
Why not?
The real trophy...
Where is it?
...is currently in Denver.
Okay.
Last year, and the year before, the Colorado Eagles won the championship. Now, they switched. The Colorado Eagles moved up. They are now the Colorado Avalanche's AHL affiliate. So they're not in the league anymore. Now, the story behind it is questionable depending on who you talk to. But they are essentially holding the trophy ransom. They say it's in Denver, it's safe, It's in pristine condition, and they say they're not holding it hostage.
But well, why won't they give it back, though?
So, when they left the league, they said, I guess they paid some fees before they left, and they said, we want those back. We want that money back. We gave you money. We're not in your league anymore. We want that money back. And the league said no. So they're not holding it hostage. They're holding it ransom. Because until they get their money back, they've got a safe, pristine trophy that they're not giving back.
That is all kinds of messed up. That sounds like the plot line of a Screech Owls book.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they're just like, where is it?
I assume that they just have it in their team office.
Can the ECHL guys not just fly over to Denver and confront them and be like, yo, give us this trophy back?
So what?
Does the trophy belong to anybody? Like, does it have ownership papers or anything like that?
That's what I kind of wonder with trophies. Like, who owns a trophy? Because you give it to a team under the shockingly sane premise that they give it back for next year's person.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you would think so, but normally if the team's affiliated with the league, then like they're part of the league. But if they've been pulled out of the league, then
well, they left on their. It's not like they were kicked out of the league. They left. They got promoted. So they chose to leave, and then just took the trophy with them.
Like, we paid for this.
It's like you're playing hockey, street hockey, and one of the kids is like, well, my parents just bought a bigger house, so I'm taking the net with me. And they're like, but we all chipped in for that net. Yeah, but like, we keep it at my house. We're playing on my street. I'm just going to take it. No, there's no more street hockey. There's a fake trophy being handed out.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. This is weird.
Here's the quote from the owner of the Colorado Eagles. He says, the management of the ECHL has full knowledge of the situation with the Kelly Cup. We have made numerous attempts to return it. They have chosen to ignore our requests. Therefore, the Kelly Cup remains in Colorado. This is all that will be released regarding this matter. He starts strong.
Did he send that quote on a piece of paper with letters from magazine cutouts?
One can only assume. I love that he starts it off sounding so magnanimous. We've made numerous attempts to return it. Like, they've left it at the fire station.
They're just not returning our calls.
Yeah. I put it in the mail, got returned to sender put on it. I don't know what else I can do. I've done everything I can.
But it turns out that he's actually just holding on to it because he wants his money back.
Yeah. Which is like, we've made numerous attempts to return it. You're like, oh, that's nice of him. They've chosen to ignore our requests. That's not an attempt to return it. That's like a trade. Do
you think they've just trashed this trophy somehow and they don't want anyone to know?
Well, that's another. They said it's safe and pristine, which maybe there's just like, because they've already remade it for this year, right? Like, someone's getting that trophy this week.
Oh, so there is another one out there.
They've remade it. Yeah. I don't believe it's identical. But yeah. One thing that I enjoyed, they asked Patrick Kelly, the guy who it's named after, they won it 2 years in a row, and one of their owners said, fine, we'll keep it. We can't take the players' names off the trophy, but I wish they'd take the guys. I won't say his name, but I wish they'd take his name off. I wish that would be even more petty. Like, they remade the replica, put the names back, but just left that owner's name off of it. We all know his name's in the article. It's Martin Lind. It's not that hard. We figured it out, Patrick.
Well, just a good hockey boy though, so classy. He doesn't want to confront anybody.
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean, normally trophies are donated to a league by an individual or sponsored, I guess,
Yeah.
to hand out to a winning team or
Yeah.
player. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question about trophy ownership.
Well, because we saw with the NWHL's trophy, right?
Yeah.
It got auctioned off, a thing that I
Yeah.
also didn't know that you could just do with a trophy.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Should we make a trophy and donate it to somebody?
I think that we should, Carl.
Okay, that's our plan for the summer. If your beer league is looking for a trophy, we got you.
Yeah, we got you. How many fees are we talking about for this Colorado team that they paid out?
And so that's the thing that no one will actually say. But you got to think it's got to be more than like a couple $1,000s.
I should hope so. If you're gonna raise that big of a stink over it,
Yeah. But a lot of leagues actually don't hand out the original trophies anymore.
yeah, that's true.
Which is one way to get around this, right? Like if you only ever gave them a fake trophy, it's fine.
But we're talking about the ECHL. Like, would you recognize that trophy if it fell from the sky and hit you in the head?
No. And arguably that could have been what happened to it.
It's true.
The ECHL is a league that earlier in this episode we both questioned if we knew what it stood for.
To be honest with you, I'm still questioning it.
It's actually now just stands for ECHL. That's it. It did used to be the East Coast Hockey League, but now you've got teams in Utah, Idaho, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's no longer just the East Coast.
I mean, that's just good.
Western Conference.
That's just good business.
Yeah. So now they're just literally the ECHL, which if you're a league of initials and your name is just a bunch of initials, maybe you should reconsider your life and not be too sad about that trophy.
Just get a new one.
Yeah.
Trophies aren't that expensive.
We're gonna play. No, they're not. Which I have learned that I have a whole collection of trophies that I've just made for myself.
Oh, Carl.
It's quite. This is. I know we're gonna play a little trivia quiz game coming up here.
Okay.
But this should be a name. Like the teams in this league, great names.
In the ECHL?
The ECHL. I wish that I could have thought of this sooner, because like a game of like guess the real name of this team would be good.
Oh boy. Do they have crazy logos too?
Oh, one can only hope that the Wheelie Nailers have a great name.
The Wheelie Nailers?
The Nailers of Wheeling, West Virginia.
Oh God.
Have an old school like Jason style hockey mask with 2 nails going through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what their Halloween games are like.
Yeah. The Indy Fuel. It's a solid name for a team.
From Indiana?
Yeah. Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Fort Wayne Comets. But Comets is spelled with a K.
Huh?
As one does.
No one does not.
We also have the Florida Everblades, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, and the Jacksonville Icemen.
The Swamp Rabbits?
A swamp rabbit, yes.
Okay.
Have you never seen a swamp rabbit?
I'm not familiar with the species, no.
Okay. They're rabbits that live in swamps.
Gotcha.
Okay. I do believe that it is entirely made up just for this. A swamp rabbit is a large cottontail rabbit found in the swamps and wetlands of the southern United States. Other common names for the swamp rabbit include marsh rabbit. Another name is a different name for a swamp. And a cane cutter, which I've never heard of. Anyways, this bog rabbit is apparently a mascot. And then we've got the Orlando Florida Bears, or Solar Bears. Oh, I think Orlando Florida Bears would be even better.
The Florida Bears?
Florida Bears. Yeah.
I'm familiar with the Solar Bears. I think they're the Lightning's affiliate.
Yes, they are. Yeah. And then that's it of the entertaining ones. I think we've peaked, but it's pretty good.
Interesting.
Wait, we have. So there's a team called the Nailers, but also one called the Railers. As one does.
The Nailers versus the Railers?
Yeah, Nailers v. Railers happens when Wheeling heads into Reading.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is next level.
Anyways, the ECHL, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot going on there.
Wow. Stolen trophies.
The NHL draft is coming up. As we've all heard, the draft lottery has happened. The New Jersey Devils will be picking first. New York Rangers will be picking second. Blackhawks third, and the Colorado Avalanche fourth. And this year, there's as there are many years, there's a kind of like a definitive consensus top two.
Yeah.
Right? Jack Hughes, consensus one. And I think in line with when Austin Matthews was definitive number one, and then Patrick Laine was a definitive number two. There's like this late push for just to change the narrative and have Capo Caco be the top.
I think everyone gets a little bored after a while of just talking about Jack Hughes. There's not enough drama in that.
No, right? So we've seen that push. What do you think? Kind of Hughes still going number one?
I think Jack Hughes is going number one. Yes.
Yeah. And this is, both of these teams and all the teams at the top, right? I know, the team picking fourth is definitely hoping that it helps them get back into the second round of the playoffs or more next year. But all these teams are hoping that this helps them become a new version of the Blues and Bruins, right?
Yep. That's the idea.
So what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at how the Bruins and Blues got where they are. A little draft history for the Blues and Bruins.
Okay.
Because, and this is what I find quite interesting, I think we all assume that the easiest way to get good is to draft really high.
Yes. Is that an assumption?
Is it not an assumption?
I think that's just a truth.
Okay. So let's start there. Question number one for you, Nick.
Okay.
On the St. Louis Blues, what position, so what draft position? So he was picked 7th overall.
Okay.
As an example. That might not be the answer. Where did the St. Louis Blues draft their highest ranked player? You don't have to name the person, just a number.
Where did they draft their highest ranked player? As in, what draft position was the
highest that they picked a person on this roster?
That's on this roster? Can I look? I'm not looking at the draft position. I'm just looking at the roster.
Yeah.
And does it have to be a player who was drafted by the Blues?
Yeah, that's the premise, is you need to draft well to do it. Because there is a player, and I'll give you a hint. Okay? Because the player drafted the highest on both of these teams was not drafted by each organization. Jason Bouwmeester, drafted 3rd overall by Florida. So he's the highest St. Louis Blue.
Okay.
And somehow he actually, that's why he's on the other side. No, that is true. Also, Braden Shen was drafted really high for the Lightning, or by the Kings.
How high was Shen drafted again? It was ridiculous, wasn't it?
He's drafted 5th overall.
Okay, not that. Yeah, it's pretty high.
So on the Blues, who do you think was drafted the highest by St. Louis? Or sorry, what number? We'll get to who after. I'll tell you that answer.
Okay. I'm going to say, I don't even remember the last time the Blues had top 5. I'm going to say 9th overall.
They selected, and do you want to make a guess at who?
Yeah, I do. Because why not? They probably selected, it's going to be someone I'm not expecting. It's going to be Colton Parayko.
They selected in 2008, 4th overall, Alex Pietrangelo.
Ah, I was going to say Pietrangelo.
So
2008?
2008, yeah. The next highest person that they drafted. So Bouwmeester went 3rd overall. They got him in a trade, right?
Yeah.
Braden Shen, 5th overall, got him in a trade.
Yeah.
Pietrangelo, they picked him 4th overall. The next highest was actually a barn burner of a year for the St. Louis Blues. 2010, a year that really set this team up well. They selected 14th overall, Jaden Schwartz, 16th overall, Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah. I figured Tarasenko was like mid-first round.
Yeah. So that was their big get for the year. What are your thoughts on the...
Can you tell me before we do that, where did Colton Parayko get drafted?
Colton Parayko got drafted 86th overall in 2012.
And I had him going as 9th overall.
You thought he was 9th? Yeah, he's good, though. He is very good.
He is good.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the draft, though, Carl.
Well, and that's what's interesting. And it'll be even more abundantly clear when we flip the script and go to Boston. I guess spoilers.
Okay.
It's a two-way tie for who this person is.
Boston has a lot more players
for the number
who they drafted. I mean, I probably should know. It definitely was not David Pastrnak. He was way later. So it's
like a Colton Parayko amount of late?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? He was first round.
Yeah, 25th.
Like 20th over. Yeah, okay. Mid-20s. It wasn't Chara, because Chara was not drafted by the Bruins. So it was like what did Patrice Bergeron go like 5th overall?
Patrice Bergeron, 2003, 45th overall.
Oh my God.
The number.
Okay.
Are you gonna give it one more crack?
I'm gonna guess. You said the Bruins was even more surprising than St. Louis. I don't know, 7th overall.
14th is the highest that anyone on this team was drafted. So not only, like, they don't have like a Jay Bouwmeester who was drafted 3rd overall and like late in his career ended up in St. Louis. No, the highest anyone on this team was drafted. 2015, Jake DeBrusk. 2016, Charlie McAvoy. Everyone else on this Bruins team, even outside of that, David Pastrnak, 1st round. Those are the only 3 first-round draft picks from the Bruins on this team. The only other one, I guess there's 4 others. Charlie Coyle, Marcus Johansson. For some reason, John Moore was a first-round pick. And Tuukka Rask. Those are the 4 other ones. But this is when I started looking at this today, I got to thinking everyone's always clamoring for like the high draft pick, the high draft pick, the high draft pick. Just luck, but also pay your scouts.
Yeah.
But also luck. What do you think it is more? Like if you were setting up the Yzer plan, now just pretend that you're not telling us the Yzer plan, because obviously you can't because you're sworn to secrecy.
Yeah.
If you were to make an Yzer plan, what would be, like, how much would you think luck? How much would you think talent, scouting, etc.? Where do you sit on this?
I think it's a lot of luck. I mean, the scouting's important because especially as you get later in the draft, you got to know like 2nd, 3rd round. Here's the thing. Once you get that deep, you don't know anything. All you can do is guess at what they're going to become. They have a certain amount of skill sets. They can do this well right now. They're trending in this direction. Hopefully they become this. If they work on this skill, they can maybe ceiling out at this, but nobody knows for sure. So I think it's more luck than anything else.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, the deeper you get, right? Like, they have made some very, very deep picks in the draft that have turned out, right? Brad Marchand, 71st overall.
Yeah.
David Krejci, 63rd. Patrice Bergeron, 45th overall. Like, these are all picks that you do not expect to happen.
Yeah.
And yet they do.
And they pan out in really good ways.
Yeah.
Especially today, because it's such an even playing field when it comes to scouting. Like, every team has scouts everywhere. That the later the rounds go, the more it is just you hope you pick the right guy, because there's no more like secrets out there that nobody knows about.
Yeah, exactly. However, that being said, so we're talking about, there are now 7 rounds in the draft, 31 teams. So 217 players get drafted every single season. There are 5 players on these teams, 3 that play significant roles, who went undrafted. Can you name one of them?
Oh, sorry. 3 players went undrafted who play significant roles between both teams?
Correct. 1 for St. Louis, 2 for Boston.
Significant roles, eh? Significant roles. Okay, I'm going to start with Boston. I'm going to say undrafted.
The big name for Boston really surprised me. I assumed he would be drafted since he's been a thing.
I'm going to say, talked about all of those guys. I have no idea, Carl. Jake DeBrusk? No, he's too young.
He was drafted 14th overall, Mr. DeBrusk.
Oh yeah, you told me that. Sean Corrali.
Sean Corrali, close, 133rd overall by San Jose.
Hmm.
They got him in the Martin Jones trade, actually, oddly enough.
Okay, then I don't know. Who is it?
Torrey Krug and Noel Acciari. Undrafted. And to quell the suspense for you, I won't make you look. Tyler Bozak, undrafted.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, me either.
In case you can't tell, I'm not a big draft guy. It feels like it doesn't feel like it. It does happen every year, and there's so many players that go every year. Like, I just can't keep track of them all.
Well, so without thought, and I'm sure, especially over at Wings Nation, I am sure that there's been some sort of either article on who the Wings will take or a round table, and you've probably given your thought. Do you have a desired pick for the Red Wings to take this year?
Oh, I honestly, like, whoever the best player available is. I would love if someone like Bowen Byram, who's the top-rated defenseman in the draft, to fall to them, because I think that's Detroit's biggest need, and he's projected to go top 3. So if he somehow falls to 6, I would love to see them grab him. Otherwise, like, any of the kind of 3 to 8 ranked guys, I'm okay with. Like a Turcotte or a Zegras or I don't know, I'm trying to think of the other names. Cousins.
Yeah, there's a big collection. I think like 3 through 10 even.
Yeah.
Draft is going to be good luck trying to figure out who's going where.
And it's all over the place. Like, someone like that Podkolzin kid was ranked 3rd overall at the mid rankings.
Yeah.
And now he's down, at least in the Athletic, he was down to like 13 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and someone could reach for him. Someone could be like, we still like him.
Yeah.
It takes one team.
Yeah. That's all it takes. And then they screw up everybody else's draft.
Right. Well, everyone else is a little more thankful, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, this guy fell to me, which is how you got Zadina last year.
Yeah.
Thanks, Noah.
Exactly.
Enjoy Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah. And thanks, Arizona, for taking, can't remember who they took, Barrett Hayton or someone like that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Same thing. It seems like every year people think like you have a hockey podcast, you talk about hockey every week, you must know all these prospects. And it is very difficult to be able to go deep in depth and have like a legitimate opinion. Last year I was in a mock draft and I was picking for the Colorado Avalanche, who I believe picked 14th overall. And in that draft, his name is now escaping my mind. I know exactly who he is. The guy I picked. I was like, yeah, I don't know why this guy's still on the board. I picked Kotkaniemi, the guy that the Habs took.
right.
Slipped to me at 14. I was like, this seems like a great pick. And then the Habs took him early, and I was like, oh, yeah, see, look, I'm smarter than everyone else in that draft.
They took him, what, 3rd overall?
I want to say, yeah.
Yeah,
And I got him at 14, a steal.
that was a steal.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it feels like every year, pretty much around this time and the last 3 weeks, we all like zero in on these like 10, 15, 20 kids who play minor hockey right now, and they're all across the leagues, and we all get to know them and read so much about them. But if I think back about it, I couldn't give you the top 10 names from last year's draft. I could probably give you up to 6.
I mean, you named multiple of them already.
Barrett Hayton.
Kotkaniemi, Brady Tkachuk, Phil Zadina. That's 3.
Who's even number 2?
Kotkaniemi.
He was number 2?
No, he went second or third.
Was last year the Darlene year?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who went second. Who even drafted second? Buffalo picked first. Carolina took Svechnikov.
Oh, yeah. Svechnikov, yeah.
Great pick by them.
Yes, very good pick.
Yeah.
Anyways, all that to say, it's like a mad dash to learn 30 names, and then I forget about them all immediately.
and also like there is most of these players will reach the NHL.
Yeah.
Like what? Half of them will be everyday NHLers. This year seems and again, sources tell me this year's deep. This is a deep draft.
Yeah.
There's talk that like it's deep all the way to like 30 and 40, which means it's a great year for the Avs to be picking 4th and 16th.
Yeah. So who are you hoping for them to take? Anyone specific at 4?
I'm not. No. I would love like again, you mentioned Bowen Byram, but I'm like, man, the Avs have like a lot of really good D prospects.
I know.
I'm usually okay if you just take the best center available. Again, like best position player available, best player available. It doesn't have to be a position player. It could be a goalie, but please don't take a goalie 5th overall because there's never really usually one good. Yeah, I just want best available, and I don't know who that is. Like I can sit here and I have 0 idea who they should be taking. So like
There'll be a centerman available for sure.
Right. And I'm naturally more, again, because we know so little about these guys, I'm naturally shift towards the guys in the dub just because I hear of them more.
Sure.
When they come through town, things like that. Whereas like a guy from Europe, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But there's a ton of really good WHL players this year. So
I do wonder. I'm not at all of the opinion that teams should trade their first round picks, especially in the like top 5. But I was thinking about it today when we decided we were going to talk about the draft. Detroit and Colorado might make for interesting trade partners that high if Bowen Byram does fall to 4 and Detroit really wants that top-rated defenseman. I wonder if the Avs would trade back 2 spots with the amount of centermen available and highly rated.
Yeah. If I go to mynhldraft.com, they have Bowen Byram falling to 5. Which means that they just miss out on him. So yeah, I would not. Colorado is willing to. They haven't said that they said that they're not moving for, but I think in not moving for, it's like we're not moving out of that like second high position, right? Like going down to, depending on what they give back. Yeah, absolutely. That's a conversation you have to have. You'd be stupid not to.
Yeah. I think like trades that high exist only in very special circumstances. But we don't get enough of that drama in the NHL.
No, especially, can you imagine, like, now that we now have Steve Yzerman and Joe Sakic, two very highly respected, I would say, I know this word is overused, but I would say they're classy individuals. They're well respected within the circles.
Yep.
But also come from the rivalry days.
Yep.
And so Steve now picks up the phone from Detroit, calls Joe in Colorado, and is like, "How's it going?"
Like, you'd think that at some point these guys have, when you start working together pretty much, because they're going to GM meetings and talking about rules, and I'm sure they've had trade talks and stuff. Like, you got to wonder at some point early on, they must have had to have a conversation that's like, yeah, those are some crazy times, right? Yeah. Okay, but we could work together here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you have to think that for sure.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Nick, your theory is becoming more and more of a thing. I have now looked at 4 different mock drafts, and 3 of them have Bowen Byram going 5th overall. So he's not getting to you, according to the experts on the internet, you're not getting him at 6.
Who LA's picking 5th?
LA picks 5th.
Yeah, if he falls to 5, they're definitely taking him.
Yeah. And so the other ones, a lot of people, and I this is where I think he would go. I think he goes 3rd to Chicago. So I think that they would be silly to not take him.
Yeah.
Again, not silly. I just think that that's who they should take.
I kind of think so too. I mean, if I think about Chicago's roster, and you always have to think, like, where's this player going to fit into my roster in 2 years or 3 years, or in their prime in 5 years? And if you look at Chicago's blue line, they're going to need a really good defenseman in 4 years.
They're going to need any defenseman in 4 years.
Yeah.
When the corpse of Brent Seabrook is still skating out there.
Yeah.
And Duncan Keith is retired.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think Chicago's probably going to take him at 3.
But I now hope that he falls to 4 so that we can have some trades.
We did a mock draft over at Wings Nation last week, and I was picking for Colorado at 4, and I'm pretty sure I picked Alex Turcotte.
Great choice. If Byram goes to Chicago, I would like Turcotte. Yeah.
There you go. I will. Can I just plug our draft content right now? Because Cameron,
do it. You've got a ton of it.
He is doing an amazing job. Cameron Kuam at Athanasiu later on Twitter, doing all of the draft content, everything. They've taken it on and they're killing it. So it's all really good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. And head over there, check that out, because lots of great stuff. And as we get into this off season, if you want to know, there will obviously be profiles on who the Wings take.
Yeah.
Wings Nation is going to be your place to be.
Yep.
The Alberta Podcast Network is your place to go for podcasts, especially podcasts in Alberta. They are our home. So if you head there, you'll find us under Sports Podcasts. You'll find tons of other great podcasts as well. And they are actually, one thing they're doing right now, if you're a podcast in Alberta, head on over and just under the contact section, I believe, go to the network and hit them up. We're looking to gain some shows over the next bit. Saw it in the old newsletter this week. They're looking to add, so they're going through the applications right now. Under About, how to join. That's what you want to click on. Lots of great things happening. Lots of great events happening in and around Alberta as well. Some of them, which are pretty cool, is actually the Edmonton Community Foundation is having, which one of their podcasts is part of the network. They're having Jordan Tutu at an event on June 7th in Edmonton. It's their 30th AGM. Jordan Tutu's talking, so that'll be great. He'll be sharing about community building, which is something he's really done a ton of. So we've got a little hockey and other Alberta Podcast Network mashup. Head on over there. You can RSVP by email. or phone number, but head to albertapodcastnetwork.com/events and you'll find a big picture with Jordan Tutu's face on it right in the middle. Super easy to find. You can play High Sticking on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast. You can find us at thefourthlinepodcast.com. You can find Nick on Twitter. You can find his stuff at thewingsnation.com as well.
I think so. Let me... I know our Twitter feed is at the Wings Nation. No, it's just wingsnation.com.
Yeah, I knew one of them was wingsnation.com at the Wings Nation.
There we go.
At Nick Sagan 19. You can find, if you want great Detroit Red Wings stuff, that's your place to go. That's my place to go. Whenever I'm like, what's going on with the Wings? I go there, and then I go to Reddit after. So,
yeah. I'm glad we're your first stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't subscribe. As a good Colorado Avalanche fan, I do not subscribe to the Red Wings subreddit.
Oh, no, you shouldn't.
No, hard no. But that happens. And so head on over there, play High Sticking, pick who you think's going to win each game and what the score is going to be. We've gotten some picks in. This game's about to get started here, Nick. So we've got to go watch some hockey.
Yep.
I'm going to go edit this show.
Yeah.
We will see you next week.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Light show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. If the Bruins win the Cup of Stanley, hopefully Brad Marchand doesn't not return the trophy.